Hey, how's it going? This is Brandon from Expedia, and in today's video, it's going to be a very particular one because I want to bring you through the exact process that I would take to approach a competitive market with leverage. And what do I mean by having leverage? Whenever you have leverage, you basically have a competitive advantage over your, other competitors that are in this like super competitive industry, right? So I want to bring you through the process that I would take based on my experience, especially looking at, 60 to 70 accounts through my lifetime of being in the advertising world and the e-commerce world. I've noticed a couple of trends. And the reason why I have this client account here, we just recently actually onboarded them. So like 2 or 3 days ago. So this is not because of us, but I just thought I would document this. And the business was kind of fluctuating, but they have periods where they scale to $15,000 in a single day, basically. And once again, by all means, we do have a lot of client success stories. This is just a super new client that we onboarded, but I thought of this client and thought of doing this video because they are approaching a super like extremely saturated niche, but they found or industry, but they found their own niche within that specific industry. Now, for the respect of the client, I obviously cannot give you their blueprint and their strategy and their approach. I would never do that. We're very serious when it comes to NDAs and keeping things very, very secluded and private. So, but I want you guys to understand the exact framework of what this client was doing before they started working with us and why it works so well, and why they're able to essentially scale so aggressively. And it's because they're able to do have a leverage over others, especially in a very competitive industry. So let me share my screen over here. Let me open up my diagrams here. Um, but yeah, so what is this diagram? So what I want to bring you through, and I did these small diagrams, pathetic diagrams. Hopefully you like them. But I want you to see what a competitive market actually looks like with your own eyes. It's very cluttered and it's very red. And the reason I put the red color is because there's something called, there's blue ocean and red ocean. And essentially, it's basically the principle of saying that a red ocean market is a market that is extremely competitive. It's red, it's bloody, right? It's hard. And a blue ocean market is a less competitive market that typically tends to have a lot more leverage over others, especially when you're starting to build your foundations. Then guess what? Once you build your foundations, then you can start approaching multiple other markets within that industry, right? Let's just say the beauty industry, and then you can slowly and gradually expand. Now, am I saying that if you go after a market or a specific very competitive industry and you sell like super competitive products that you're gonna fail? No, because I've actually seen scenarios where, people launch very competitive products and they just, do well, but typically they're very expert, they're really experienced in marketing, their product selection is very unique, and they're very strategic. But even then, it's still extremely, extremely hard. So if I were to take this, yes, I would focus, like if I were to start this, right? Yes, I would focus on the marketing. Yes, I would focus on the creative. Yes, I would focus on the product selection, but I would also niche down in a very, very competitive market. So let me just give you a scenario here. So this is an example of a competitive market, right? All these black dots are essentially your competitors trying to compete and get sales from each other. And so what we want to do here is essentially I've just did a quick scenario for like three different industries, right? So we have the skincare industry, the wine, spirits or whatever beverage industry, and then we have the apparel industry, right? So I just wanted to do a couple scenarios here. And so this is exactly what happens when you're able to find your own market within a market, right? It's a market within a market, right? So what I mean by that is that essentially, look, this is the red ocean, right? All of your competitors are trying to, fight for each other. But if you can find your own blue ocean market, and I'm going to bring you through a couple scenarios so you actually understand what I mean by blue ocean market. Essentially, your competition, you become one of the monopolies, I can say, within that specific segment of the market, right? And this what ends up happening. So this is basically, you can say, is a $5 billion, I don't know what the skincare market is, but probably more than 5 billion. Let's just call it $5 billion market. But you can still do extremely well if you can maybe find your own, $500 million market or $800 million market. Like these markets don't need to be like, they may be small visually in this diagram, but it doesn't mean that they're like capped at like $2 million a year, right? That probably wouldn't even work because you would have to get 100% of the market, right? So we want to get markets where we're able to maybe get like not even 1%, right? But we're able to really dive deeper and have leverage over others. Okay, so let's take the skincare example. An example of approaching the skincare industry, right? If I were to do it, is I wouldn't promote just a random skincare industry. Like even like promoting to like having a skincare brand that goes from, for only aging products between and serving people that are between 50, 60, and 70 for like skincare aging products, it's still a segment, but it's still extremely noisy and competitive. There's a bunch of competitors that are actually doing that. Now, once again, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work, right? You can still be great and still do amazing by starting there, but you know, we want to make things as easy as possible because it's already hard. So I would niche down even more. So what I mean by niche, it's not necessarily a niche, but it's once again, it's a segment. That's how I would frame it. So in this scenario, we're going after skincare. It's a skincare brand, the one that we're creating for Black people with a Catholic foundation, right? So targeting the target audience would be, essentially what I just explained, Black people that are Catholic, right, in the U.S., for example. So this is a very, very specific market. Now, I'm not saying this is what I would do. This is just an example, but another reason, and by the way, all of these examples that I'm going to mention are actually real life examples. There are brands, I've consulted these brands, or I came across these brands by doing my own competitive research that are making multiple seven figures a year. And they're exactly what I'm explaining in this video right now. So this company that I used to consult for, they basically sold hair products, so it was mostly for like curly hair, and as you probably know, like typically like people that are black, right? Black people typically have curly hair, right? So they basically went after that specific segment, and then to top it off, they also made it. They created a Catholic foundation. So basically, the part of the vision of the brand was to give back to Catholic churches. It was like something like, 1, 2, 3, 4%, 5%, I don't remember, of their profits or their revenue just went to supporting Catholic foundations. And so there was a level of resonance, even the way that they structured their ad copy. It was like very Catholic, or I guess religious driven. So this is an example for the skincare company. Hopefully you understand what they were doing, and they were doing multiple seven figures, multiple six-figure months, and they were killing it. And guess what? When you go after very specific foundations, or sorry, markets and segments, these people are really really motivated to buy from you, right? Because you are literally their target audience, right? And the level of resonation is so high that the repeat customer rates are going to increase, and you can just create a loyal base and community, which is extremely valuable for business, right? Let's take a look at wine, or spirits or beverages, whatever. So once again, super competitive. This is an extremely competitive industry, extremely competitive. So um, what I would do, I've also consulted a client, and essentially what they were doing was like they were selling wine for vampire lovers and gothic enthusiasts. So the idea was like it was like a dark, elegant bottle design and spooky themes in marketing angles, right? And let me see here what I wrote. Collaboration with authors. Yeah, they would collaborate with authors, filmmakers, or events related to gothic and vampire genres. And so the UGC approach that they used is essentially also going after um, the same types of people, right? People that are like gothic and like dark, or right? And this is a huge industry. How do I even find like these ideas? I do market research. I look at other competitors. I dive deeper, but I also just use ChatGPT. Honestly, and ChatGPT allows you to just give a bunch of inspiration. It gives you a bunch of inspiration when it comes to actually finding markets. So just go there and type in, what are potential sub niches or sub industries or sub segments within the wine industry. Be specific and give me 10 examples. Like it's going to give you a bunch of shit, but it's also going to give you some ideas that you can kind of like back off with. Once you find something that is interesting, then do your market research, find the competitors, and see what the opportunity in the market looks like. This is an example of a seven figure client, or sorry, brand that we funnel hacked. I forgot what they were called. I think it was like gothicwines.com or something like that. I don't remember. But it works very well, and they created their own market. Another example. Let's just take an example in apparel industry. This is a brand that we consulted also, and they were essentially selling apparel for religious people only. And so they essentially would have, excuse me, my back is killing me. They would essentially would have very specific quotes from the Quran or from from the Bible, essentially religious texts, and they would just put them on the shirt. So it was not on their t-shirts or their hoodies or whatever. And so it was a very simple design, very elegant, simple, but it was very powerful, a very powerful message, right? So they basically only served religious people. And for those of you who don't know, religious people, you know, really believe in their God or whatever, and so it's a very emotional purchase, and it worked like wonders and didn't have too much competition at all, at least when they started, and it was a segment that was extremely successful. So these are just a couple examples of some brands. And what, by the way, this is not the only way. There's a bunch of ways to make this work, guys and gals. But this is just one way to just create less competition, have less friction, and actually have the opportunity to enter a market, which you can probably even start to expand later once you have your traction. Meaning that you can start with black people that have a Catholic background, but then guess what? As you make your seven figures, you can then gradually expand to other markets and maybe just do all skin types, right? But it's a lot easier to approach a competitive market once you have the leverage and the foundation and the capital, right, that you need in the first place. So this is just a couple, it's 2 cents on what I think about how to approach markets, and just hopefully you enjoy the diagram here. But yeah, let's talk about very quickly. I'm basically done. This is my last concept on once you get your market, how to approach it. And I go through these very fundamental steps in my other YouTube videos, so feel free to explore my other videos. But once you find your own market, then that's when you basically can basically promote as many products as you can and want, or test as many products, and it's going to be way less competitive, and you're going to have a lot more leverage. And then to take it a step ahead, other than just testing different products, approach your niche market with different angles, like pain points, solutions, and problems. So different pain points, different solutions, and different problems, right? So there's so many different ways to approach the market, also based on levels of awareness. You can promote to people that are very aware of what you're selling, people that are completely unaware, people that are problem aware. There's so many different ways, and this is what I mean by marketing angles. Let me know in the comments if you want me to expand a little bit more on these concepts. But I do have several other videos in my YouTube that go through these concepts. If you don't want to scroll through my library of YouTube videos, I have like 100 videos. I advise you to join my free school community, where I basically have a module, a course where it's just all my YouTube videos, but like they're literally categorized, and it's really with resources, and it's really easy to find them because they're basically categorized by case study and title and what I go through in the video. While here, the YouTube thumbnails are just like optimized for views. I'm trying to get as many views as possible, as you guys probably can imagine. So it's very hard even for me to go back and give you exactly the topics of the things that I go through. So join my free school community. It's free, right? That's it for this video. Hopefully you got some value from it. And let me know if you have any other video suggestions. And nothing. See you in the next one. Bye.